You became a coach to make an impact, to help others transform their lives. But what happens when you find yourself stuck, juggling endless responsibilities and teetering out on the edge of burnout, and maybe wondering if you'll ever find the balance between serving others and taking care of yourself? If you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels and you can't break free, then today's episode is exactly what you need. Hey, welcome to another episode of Coach Smarter brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and today I am joined by Rob Tracz, a performance coach who specializes in helping entrepreneurs and high achievers just like you break through burnout, build resistance, and find sustainable success. Rob has been where many of us have been, caught in the cycle of overwork and stagnation. But through his journey, he's developed a holistic approach that doesn't just help his clients succeed professionally, but ensures they enjoy the process along the way. In this conversation, Rob shares his own story of hitting burnout, the lessons he learned, and how you can apply them to your coaching practice and life. So, with that, Rob, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you here.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me. This is awesome. Super excited to dive in.
Yeah, for sure, man. I know we're going to dive into a lot today, but let's start with this. You're someone who helps entrepreneurs and coaches who feel capable of doing so much more, but they find themselves stuck in this relentless cycle of burnout. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this work?
Yeah. So originally my background is in strength and conditioning. I studied kinesiology undergrad and then exercise science in grad school. I had a concentration in performance enhancement and injury prevention in grad school. So originally it was with the athletes and high performers. I transitioned into personal training. And then after a terrible streak of suffering from burnout, I worked my way through that. And then as I continue to grow and evolve as a human, so too does my coaching. And that's kind of brought me to where I'm at now, helping driven individuals, those guys who feel like they deserve more, and that they're on the brink of bigger success, but experiencing that burnout, just being held back from something. I help those guys identify what it is that they need to unlock and move to the next level. And we do that by helping them look good, feel good, and do great things.
Where do you feel like the burnout started for you? What do you feel was the big thing that caused you to reach that point of burnout?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult because there are a lot of different things. Burnout comes up and appears in a lot of different ways, but for me, I would have to say that it was really the isolation. I was at a point where I was personal training and strength and conditioning with athletes and such, point where I was working 12 to 15-hour days, 7 days a week for about 3 years straight. And I was around all these people, clients and such, but what I was doing was I was isolating myself from our friends, from the girl that I was dating at the time, and even my family. I was working holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. I would never go home to see my friends or family. I just continued to work, 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 work. And nothing against my clients because they were just doing what they want to be doing. They're trying to get better and better shape and hit some of their goals. And although I was seeing them every day, they weren't pushing me or motivating me to kind of continue and grow. They'd begun to see me starting to suffer with isolation, starting to get out of shape and stuff like that, but they never wanted me to take a day off on their day. So when everyone's like, yeah, dude, you should definitely take some time to yourself, go on vacation, but make sure you're still around for our training session kind of thing. I was stuck in this situation where I was just focused on the wrong things.
I hear a couple things there. So, one, not setting good boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Not really having an alignment with what was important to you, kind of maybe feeling like, hey, I'm having success here. You start to develop that identity as a coach and that success that comes along with working, especially with those higher end clients. And that becomes your identity, and you lose track of those important other relationships in your life.
Oh yeah. Spot on.
What made you finally realize something had to change?
Yeah. Well, so as I was saying, I was losing all those relationships and experiences that I'll never get back. And the biggest one for me was my dad. He ended up getting sick, diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And instead of spending time with him, I would train clients during the day. I would take a 3-hour drive down to Philadelphia, stay by his side through the night, and I would drive back to work in the morning. And I did that for about a week. And when I should have been spending time with him. And when he had passed, I decided I was going to ignore all my feelings and everything that was going on. And I just continued to bury myself in work. And I went back to that grind, and I continued for about a year and a half. So it was a holiday weekend. A lot of my clients were traveling, and my friends were all out doing things. And I was sitting home on Friday night, frantically trying to fill my schedule. I was like swiping through my phone like it was a dating app. Like any client available, I'm trying to book them for that weekend. And I didn't realize, because I was continuously setting myself up for failure by having this full schedule. Because the full schedule was a distraction. It was distracting me from what I had lost and what my life would actually became. And when I was denied that distraction and I couldn't fill my schedule, that allowed for a little bit of time of reflection. That allowed for me to take a step back and to look at what's going on with my life. Who am I? This is not who I am. And in that moment there, I realized I need to change something. So I went back to what worked for me when I was a kid, was getting active, getting back in shape, pushing my boundaries. I was so comfortable with my client, so comfortable with the money I was making, that discomfort became so difficult for me to embrace. So I needed to get serious about my training again. I needed to get intentional with what I was consuming, not just my nutrition, but also my digital nutrition. So the types of podcasts and books and things that I was consuming on a day-to-day basis. Then I needed to get myself aligned, like you said before, because I was totally out of alignment. And then from there, it was, how do I optimize? How do I make my life a little more efficient? And then how do I get back around positive people that are going to motivate me and inspire me, push me to level up and become the great person that I know I am?
The thing that stood out for me there, because I think a lot of people can relate to this, especially entrepreneurs. We chase after that success, and starting a business is hard. I mean, anyone who tells you that you can start a business and like just do it part time and be successful must already have money, right? Because it is hard work in the beginning, and it's easy for you to identify with that hard work and get caught up in this idea of thinking, if I don't continue to work this hard and do these things, I can't be successful and I'm going to lose everything. What was it that allowed you to make this shift and start? Because obviously you had to cut back on some training hours to start hanging out with these people and reading different books and podcasts and leveling yourself up. So, what was it that allowed you to overcome that fear?
Yeah, I think it was just spending some time reflecting on what really is important to me. Because when I was first with the grinding, building the clients up, I was working, making the money in it because I was seeking attention. I was seeking like approval from my parents, from my friends. I was wearing my crazy schedule like a badge of honor. And that's it was the wrong thing that I was looking for. So when I spent some time to identify what really meant to me, it helped me identify that I'm not here for more. I need to continue to grow, and I needed to start to find ways to start to expand my coaching. How do I become a better leader? How do I become a better version of myself? And in that time there, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the money that was making. I was looking to lead a better legacy, to connect with more people, help others achieve more. And when I realized that it was more than just the getting in better shape or just losing a little bit of weight or getting a little bit stronger, I realized that it was bigger than that. Then it was a lot easier for me to make that shift of, okay, maybe I'll lose $100 from not training this client, but you know what? With that hour, I'll be able to dedicate some more time so then I can help more people down the road.
So, really, it was about kind of realizing that if you kept trying to exchange your time for dollars, you were going to cap out. There was only so much you could grow versus understanding that if you were to invest that time and money somewhere else, you could level up your skills and essentially uncap your potential.
Yeah. And also it was just the aligning myself with what I really wanted to be doing. Because it was I was getting stale. I was getting burnt out from teaching squat patterns and hinge patterns and discussing nutrition. And part of me, I love that stuff. So like I'll always be in the gym and teaching, coaching, those kind of things. But there is more. So like having that cessation or that drive, learn about more to help people in different and bigger ways, it helped me reprioritize what I needed to. So in order for me to help people in a bigger way, I needed to spend more time myself growing in those avenues.
So speaking of getting things in the right order and figuring out what's important, I know you have some core principles that you use in your business and in your life. Can you share those?
So I've got 6 core principles and I break them into 3 steps, which I mentioned earlier: look good, feel good, and do great things. The first phase of looking good, it's all about building resiliency and intentional consumption for me. Once you've expanded your comfort zone and built this new resilience, you can start to handle the stressors that life throws at you. So life's going to be throwing punches at you left and right. And if you're not prepared to handle the ups and downs, then it's going to be a really bumpy ride. And then from there is that intentional consumption, kind of hinted at earlier. We focus on the foods and the types of things that energize us and motivate us, both physically with like food and water and things like that, and also mentally too. So the types of podcasts, the books, the content that we're consuming. Then from there, once we got those down, we're looking good. And then from there, we start to feel good by aligning our actions, defining our goals, figuring out the action steps we needed to get to the next level. So gaining clarity on where we're trying to get to. And then from there, optimization is the fourth principle. That's all about improving the efficiency for your rules and the routines you live your life. You understand where you're trying to go to, you understand how to get there, and you're moving smoothly and efficiently. Now you can say that you're feeling good. And then we get into that final step, which is doing great things. And in order to do great things, we've got to get around important plus ones that one of my good mentor friends always talks about: surrounding yourself with plus ones. And how do you surround yourself with plus ones? You got to work on your social communication skills, build that support system. And from there, you got to figure out the final principle of creating opportunity, or what I like to call is luck, and getting around other individuals, figuring out how to open the doors.
I love the way you broke those down. The one that really stood out for me there at the end was luck, because back when I worked in retail management, I had made a sign in my store that my employees had to look at every day because I put it right on a cash register. And it said, luck is when opportunity meets persistence.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And that's exactly what it is. I say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And if you follow the first 5 principles, then you're prepared. You're ready to roll. And then now it's just about creating the opportunity. So then you can look like that overnight success, that lucky guy that just seems to have everything always happen for them. Because no one ever sees what happens behind the scenes or what happens all the other days of the year. But you know, because you're out there working.
I always love having these conversations with people who have a background in health and fitness like myself, because I think the people who do not have that background, or people who haven't been around exercise their entire life, don't really fully grasp just how beneficial regular exercise is to your health. You kind of hit on it when you were explaining those, but it just helps you build that resilience, right? You go through tough times in the weight room, you push your limits, you learn what you're capable of. You learn to work through being tired and being fatigued and sore, and you learn all those things. And it really helps you deal with life in such a different way. And, it's a great stress reliever as well.
Yeah, you said it exactly, and that's where I had to revert back to when I needed to make that change. Because I went back to what's been true to me for my whole life, and that was, for me when I was younger, it was all about sports and being active. But being physically active teaches you everything that I just went into, the principles of being active pushes the comfort zone, like you said. And then to continue being active, you need to learn to fuel yourself appropriately with different things, with being intentional with your consumption. You got to have a goal for what you're doing. Otherwise, if you're in the gym, just kind of aimlessly doing anything, you're not going to achieve anything. And then from there, you got to optimize it too, because like Yeah, you could be doing some activity, but if you're doing heavy, heavy back squats after you ran a marathon, that's not efficient. You're not going to be able to get very heavy loads. And then also you need to pay attention to the support system because when you are tired and you are beat down and you don't feel like continuing forward, it's good to have that coach, those captains, and the crowd cheering you on in the background to keep you motivated, pushing forward. And then that's where that luck comes in. Once all the above has been prepared and taken care of, then you just look like the overnight success.
I think the optimization one is a really great point too, because you use the example of squat. If you're just putting like body weight squats or you're just putting just the bar on your shoulders and you're not putting weight on it, you can get away with subpar form, right? But as you load more and more weight, your form has to get better. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting hurt. And I think a lot of times this is an approach that a lot of us miss because we think we need to get everything perfect before we start. We think we need to do everything 100% perfect from day one versus understanding that there is a progression of skill.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the same thing in like entrepreneurship too. Like yeah, you want to be perfect, you want to have everything lined up, and you want to have it going. But there's something that speaks for like going through it. So starting with the progressions, getting through building it, taking the action on it. So if you sit home and you're watching YouTube videos on how to do back squats forever, and you never actually go into the gym and practice your back squats, you're never going to get any better. Same thing with business though, too. So like if you just sit strategizing, building business plans, but you never get out there, you never pick up a phone and call someone, you're never going to have the success that you're trying to get.
Rob, if there's an entrepreneur out there listening to this right now and they're finding themselves in that place where they burn out, they don't even know if they want to continue their business, but they're still kind of showing up every day. They just don't know what to do next. What is the one piece of advice that you would give them on where to start?
Yeah, and they don't know what kind of steps that they want to be taking, or you asking like, what would I recommend? It's like you came to me today and you're like, hey, what should I be doing?
Yeah, like this is like say there's somebody just they started working with you and they don't know what the next step is. What's the very first thing you're going to have them do?
We're gonna have to do some reflection. We have to pay a little bit of attention to what we've got going on, what's worked for us in the past, where do we want to get to, and just taking it step by step. Nice and slow, baby steps first, but figuring out what it is we actually want to do. So then we can pay attention to what works for us individually.
And if someone feels like, hey, you know what, that's something I could use some help with, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, the easiest way to just kind of check in, ask me a question, or kind of follow along with the different things that I've got going on is to reach out to me on social media. I hang out on Instagram the most, and my handle is just my name, Rob Tracz, Tracz, and or LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a place where I've been hanging out a lot more often. Uh, but yeah, always open DMs. You can always shoot me a message.
All right. Any final words of advice?
The piece of advice that, like I mentioned, if we're pay attention to what works for you, more times than not, people go out and just try to copy people all the time, and, which is good because you want to have a mentor or a role model to kind of replicate. But there's got to be a time where you need to learn to adopt your own strategies, make it your own unique way of doing what it is that you want to do. And you figure out how to do that by paying attention to what works for you, spending some time to kind of reflect and figure those things out, and you'll see a whole lot better results.
And with that, guys, that concludes our interview today with Rob Tracy. I'm going to give you guys a quick recap, some of my big takeaways from the interview here in just a moment, as well as a teaser for our next episode. But I do want to first say thank you very much for everyone who tuned in and listened to today's episode. And a special thanks to Rob for sharing his journey from burnout to breakthrough and providing us really with some practical strategies for creating sustainable success as a coach. So, here are my 5 takeaways that I took from the conversation today. Number 1 is set boundaries to avoid burnout. Number 2 is be intentional about your energy. Number 3, get clear on alignment. Number 4, build resilience through discomfort. And number five, surround yourself with positive influences. So, just quickly to run through these. So, number one, setting boundaries. It's going to help you to avoid burnout. It's very important to protect your energy by prioritizing what truly matters in both your coaching practice and your personal life. Number two is be intentional about your energy. So, not just protecting your energy, but being intentional about it. Make sure you're choosing the habits and the routines and the activities and the projects that energize and inspire you. The third one is get clear on alignment. Make sure that the things you're doing every day are actually in alignment with your values and your goals. Make adjustments when needed. It's very easy, probably easier than most people realize, to get out of alignment if you're not constantly checking in on it. Number four is build resistance through discomfort. Look, just like being in the gym, you have to get a little uncomfortable for your muscles to grow, for the systems in your body to develop and get better. The same thing applies to your business. You have to push your limits outside your comfort zone in order to grow stronger and become more adaptable in both your work and your home life, really. It's not just work. And then finally, surround yourself with positive influences. Connect with a supportive community, get a mentor, hire a coach, do whatever you need to do to get around people who are going to challenge and inspire you to grow. And I believe if you apply these principles, you'll not only elevate your coaching, but you'll also ensure that you're living and working in alignment with your goals and your values, and you will be a much happier, productive person. If you're ready to break free from burnout and build a coaching practice that aligns with your values, I want to encourage you to either sign up using the link below to book a free call with Rob or send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll be happy to also do a free call with you. And if you love today's episode, make sure you share with a fellow coach who could use some inspiration. And join us next time as we'll be joined by Mark Struskelski, aka Mr. Productivity, to tackle one of the biggest challenges health and wellness coaches face: how to gain clarity on what you should be doing right now to be the most productive version of yourself. Until then, this is Stephen Box reminding you that coaching smarter creates a lasting impact for you and those you serve.